moved on. "I'll put in the call, but while we wait, I'd like to explore the rest of the place," Billingham said. "Of course." They had only come as far as the entry. Once, Remington House had been the crowning jewel in a massive noble estate, but after being bombed in World War II, it had passed from owner to owner, all hoping to restore its grandeur, all discovering the fantastic sum needed to do so. It had recently been taken over by a historical society, one still in the process of acquiring the necessary paperwork and funds to restore the manor structure itself. Once, however, the grand entry had led to a massive ballroom and stairs to an open balcony overhead, which led into bedrooms and guest rooms, while the dining hall and servants' quarters had led to the left. "I'll head up, and you'll take this floor?" Billingham asked. "Sure. No, wait. I believe there was a basement." "I'm heading down," Luke told him. "That was where," Billingham began. He shook his head. "I read the reports. The man who carried out the horror in the U.S. was killed," Luke said flatly. "Yes. He was shot when he tried to use one of our forensic people as a shield, threatening to slit her throat." Luke knew that for a fact. He'd been working undercover and had been with the team who had discovered the small inn aiding the Holmes Society. And while he hadn't been the one to shoot the man, he had been the one to give the order to take the shot. They all knew that it was regrettable. They didn't take human lives unless they had to. Nathan Breyer, the killer they'd trailed and cornered, had died without giving them information they desperately needed. But since his blade had rested against the throat of Debbie Lyons, and tiny rivulets of blood were already seeping down her neck, there had been no choice. But the 200-year-old manor where Nathan Breyer had been practicing his depravities had been purchased by a shell corporation in the Cayman Islands, and that just kept leading the best techs in the world down a rabbit hole. But in that old edifice, they'd found acid vats, a giant furnace, all kinds of chemicals, and of course, bits and pieces of human remains. And then one more thing. A scrap of paper that hadn't quite made it into the fire, with a happy face and a short message. The Holmes Society. "Basement, of course," Billingham said. "I'll go with you, if I may." "Of course," Luke assured him. "The entrance to the basement is usually around a kitchen or a food staging area in older places, so we'll head there first." They did. They followed old stone steps down below the earth, the wooden handrails long ago rotted and fallen apart. But in the dark dampness below the main structure, Luke immediately saw what he had feared: a massive furnace recently used, wooden tables stained with blood. And as Billingham switched on his heavy-duty flashlight, they immediately saw that, placed in a far corner of the room, someone had been left to greet them. A skeleton, set on a stand, with its wired hand and finger bones lifted to the forehead in a salute. Luke shook his head, inhaling a deep breath. He looked at Billingham and said quietly, "Detective Chief Inspector, I'm truly sorry to say I believe the Holmes Society has now traveled to your jurisdiction." "Did you kill the wrong man?" Billingham asked, frowning. "No, sir. You're missing the point. The Holmes Society. We have been desperately searching through the dark web. Someone out there is creating a league of killers, all hoping to imitate and outdo the man known as America's first serial killer. Some even suspect he might have come to London before he created his murder castle in the U.S., and he might have begun his killing career as Jack the Ripper. But for the present—" "There's a society of such killers," Billingham said, with horror. "But how?" "As of now, we're working on little but theory," Luke explained. "And a scrap of supposedly burned paper our forensic team was able to salvage."